Hello, hello, hello to my fellow actors, artists, dancers, creators, and all of the beautiful souls who live somewhere in between dreaming and doing. Welcome to Salon d'Art, a space I've created for us, the ones who are still in the middle of our story. Not the beginners hearing just start or just take some classes or any other generic advice that people are going to give you. And not the fully celebrated stars with amazing, blessed careers that they deserve, but the artists who are trained, talented, disciplined, and still asking, how do I keep going? Where do I go from here? Where is God steering me? What's going on? How do I be present or get inspired? This is not a podcast about how to get booked as an actor. It's about living as an artist when you are not booked. It's about the messy middle, the auditions with no callbacks, the breakthroughs at 2 a.m., the last minute audition submissions, survival jobs, the faith, the fire, and the love we still have for this craft, even when it doesn't love us back the same way. I've always craved a space where artists could just be honest, not perform. A salon, not a tutorial. A room where we just throw ideas and thoughts, where we talk about art we've seen, the heartbreak we survived, the roads that broke us open, and dreams we were embarrassed to still have. And literally still managing to meet other people, to connect, to network, to take a break from networking, to take a break from the art, from the auditions, to have boundaries, to move on. This is the space that I want to create. Nothing like how to be booked as an actor or this is how I got this role. No, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of YouTubers. There are a lot of influencers. I'm pretty sure there are classes and master classes that you can pay for and they can teach you how to get booked. This is not that show. Because so much content out there is how I got booked this job or how I got an agent. And yes, that has its place. But what about the artist who did everything right and is still waiting? What about the ones who have trained for 4, 6, 8 years, 20 years, who have sacrificed their 20s, who took breaks, came back, and now don't recognize the industry? Salon d'Art is for a trained artist who feels unseen. The artist returning after 5 or 10 years or more. The artist who balances rent, identity, and hope. The lovers of art who don't perform but feel it really deeply and or who just want to understand it. This is where we talk about the art that moves us. A play, a mural, a Broadway show I flew in to see for 24 hours. Hopefully that happens. About survival, about love, about identity, about why we keep going when logic says stop. So, before we move on and get really deep, I have to introduce myself. So, my name is Myesha Nicole. Hello, and I am from Memphis, Tennessee. I moved out here in 2019. Now let's go back. Okay, let's go back. I was in high school when I first got into acting. I lied. I was in elementary school, but like when I first started to love it, I was in high school, and I was in forensics, speech and debate. I know what you're thinking. It has nothing to do with forensics, actually. Okay, it's scene work and it's competitions, acting competitions, and duet acting, where you have a partner. And I slayed. Okay, in those acting competitions, baby. I made it to state on prom night. What on prom night? I was worried about state. My sister was worried about prom. When I was in college, I went to University of Memphis. I just ended up majoring in theater with a concentration in acting. I could say a lot of things, but one thing I do want to say is I wish I had a mentor during that time to where I didn't feel socially awkward in the program. I wish I knew how to be authentically myself, and I wish I had someone to really lead me in the program. But I wish I had someone who saw something in me and really just, took me serious. Because if someone took me serious and believed in me, I would have believed in myself more. I would have held myself more on a higher ground instead of just being a student. I could have been more of a leader. Well, all of the years, I was never booked on the main stage shows. The good thing is I was booked in the lunchbox shows a few a semester. And during my junior year, it was great. I did an acting for film class, amazing. I received a compliment from that. And also, I directed an adaptation that I wrote from a short story. And during that time, junior year was a year, baby. During that time, I was also taking African American studies. So I was just being inspired by African American studies and then getting a short story and directing that and making an amazing play for that. My senior year, I wanted to prove my worth and prove myself. So what I did was I ended up writing, producing, and directing and performing my own one woman show, which was hard because my senior year there were a lot of personal things going on and I was just depressed and I was alone. But my goal was to at least graduate college and then just get through this year and just move on. And I did. And now after I graduated, I done a few plays. Of course, I played Tituba. Who didn't play Tituba? Who's a black woman? Not hating. I was in a couple of films from back home. 2 years later, I ended up moving to LA. That was what I had. Of course, when I was a senior in college, I auditioned for the ERTers and the UTAs, where you perform two contrasting monologues or one monologue in front of a mass of people who cast you in more theater shows or who will have those 1 year contracts. That's all I knew. I knew nothing, okay, about being an actress in LA and wanting to be in film. All I know is I have this training and I have been in some films. I've taken a class. When I moved here, I learned so many things very slowly. And I wish I had a mentor for that who just told me things so I can see, so I can filter out what to take and what not to take. But the way that people give you advice, it's very generic and they say the same advice on and on. And it's not really on what you specifically need to work on. It's just general advice about, keep going and keep moving or, take this class or are you in classes? That is another episode for another time that I want to talk to y'all about. Okay. Fast forward to today. I've been in LA for about 5 years and I've done PA work. I have written 2 short films that didn't get anywhere. I've been in some short films, action and psychological thriller. Now I am at a point to where there is really no space to have a salon, to talk about ideas, to talk about where are we now. And there are some spaces to talk about SAG and the union and the industry and where is it going now. But for those artists who, in this world that we live in the industry, where everything is very saturated and everything has gotten more competitive when it comes to influencers, when it comes to them wanting to make sure that you bring a certain audience in. Everything's about money. As you think about it as a business, and as you realize that this person's advice was like not that good of advice, as you think about it as a business, you realize what are some ways in my life to where I can do this for me? How can I get inspired? Like, what are some shows to see? Should I like do theater for a bit? Like, why would I do theater? It's not paid like everything. And that's something that we could be thinking about, especially when people that, there are people here who don't live with their parents. We are living on our own. So we have to have survival jobs, people who have to have like gig based jobs. How do they manage? So it is a whole ballpark, and everybody lives a different life. And I've had a chance to talk to different people who have different lives as me. At one point, I was doing gig based things, and then I was like, okay, I just need a stable job, and then I need to focus on other things so I can just have something stable, and I am knocking down the goals for my career instead of like, gotta worry about this and gotta worry about that. That is where I am now, and I am really excited to get into this show. You know, I used to believe that if I just followed every rule, got the training, moved to LA, got new headshots, got some more headshots, learned about what shows I wanted to be in, watch the first episode of that show, get a reel, re-edit that reel, be in student films. I mean, that eventually it would click. Someone would see me and I'd be discovered. That's what we're sold, right? That hard work guarantees reward. But the truth is, this industry is subjective. You can be brilliant and still not be chosen. You can walk into an audition and lose the role because you remind someone of their ex, or because they already gave it to someone before the auditions even started. Okay. And that doesn't mean you're not extraordinary, because, baby, you could be the sauce. It doesn't mean you're not worthy. It just means that art is not a merit system. It's timing, taste, chaos, and someone else's vision, not your problem. So instead of asking, how do I make it? I started asking, how do I stay an artist, an active artist? How do I protect the part of me that still believes? How do I perfect my craft without spending thousands of dollars a month? This podcast isn't about chasing a rival. It's about living in the becoming, okay? Because most of us are not in the success montage. We're in the hallways, in between doors. And I think that deserves space too, right? So here's what Salon d'Art will be and what it won't be. It won't be advice on how to beat the algorithm or land 100 auditions. However, I might put in some things that I've learned that I hope everybody else needs to learn, just because, why not? But it will be a place to talk about the emotional and spiritual life of an artist, the art that shakes us, whether we saw film, theater, museum, street performances, loneliness, money, survival jobs, identity crisis, and returning after burnout, loving the craft even when it doesn't love you back. And if you are still here, training, dreaming, doubting, believing, then you're my people, okay? This salon is for you. Salon d'Art is my love letter to us, to the misunderstood, to the multi-talented, and the ones still becoming. Here, you don't need credits to be respected. You don't need followers to be interesting. You don't need to make it to matter. All you need is that fire, that ache, that willingness to keep creating even when no one is clapping. When you have that, this salon is yours too. So thank you for stepping inside. My name is Myesha Nicole, and this is Salon d'Art. Our conversation has just begun.